Perfect.
Hey there everybody, Rosanna here and Charmaine. For those of you who don't know us, I am the founder of Injoy Yoga, which is now Rozy Glow. We were, since 2004, completely Croydon based, born in South Croydon, but with the internet and COVID and everything that's gone on, we are now international and we can reach you anywhere. But what we really wanted to do is just to make these videos for you, because as a pregnancy, fertility, birth, postnatal and baby specialist myself, as Charmaine is as well, we're very aware of the impact that lockdown and all of the current stresses that are affecting us are having on both pregnancy and the babies in the womb. So the feelings of the mother, the stress that the mother is going under, and the effect that this has on the baby that's growing, the impact this can have on the birth and postnatal bonding, etc. And just before we go into all those details, so you know a little bit about us and our expertise, I am a, 20 years now yoga teacher, senior yoga teacher, specialising in pregnancy, birth and the postnatal period, baby yoga too. I'm also a course tutor for Birthlight, so I've been training yoga teachers, midwives, obstetricians and health visitors and parents in these methods that are the most beautiful, like heart-based, indigenous practices that help us connect to our instincts, our confidence as mothers, as parents, new parents, and also to find that inner strength and reserve to find a way through the challenges that go on in life today more than ever. I personally worked with Croydon University Hospital from 2004 through to about 2015. I was a user rep for the Maternity Services Liaison Committee and then acted as co-chair and chair before I left and moved to Brighton. And in the time that I was working with the hospital, it went from one of the worst performing maternity units in the country to one of the best. And I know that we had an impact on that because over the years, some 5,000 plus women and their babies came through my classes. Based on how many people were coming and how often they were turning over, I was able to work that out. And we definitely affected about 10% of the population that were actually attending the hospital and birthing there. So there was a significant impact in what happened and what we saw and how important the changes are that we're talking about are. And now that we're having the restrictions that we have with COVID, how there's been a lot of stepping back that we do need to work our way around and therefore consider the impact both on the pregnant woman and the baby. But I could go on and on. I just want to hand over to Charmaine because she is also an expert in her own right. We're both doulas, so I'll just hand over for you to share your wisdom with everybody.
Thank you, Rosie. My name is Charmaine. I've been teaching pregnancy yoga for about 8 years now. So I've been with Rosie for around 5 years. My background is around herbal medicine, so womb health and healing. I've got a specialism in anything on the under fives, but from fertility through to postnatal period. So pregnancy yoga, I'm also a birth doula, and I deal with essential oils and healing and general health for the whole family. So for me, it was really important for me to connect through my own pregnancy, and I met Rosie when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I joined her classes, and we've been well connected since because we align with a lot of things, and we know how important it is to kind of embrace the journey and get really important knowledge for your journey. So for me, it just made sense to kind of connect, and I really love what I do, and the ability to share with my students and my clients it's really important to get this information out to people. So that's really me, really, in a nutshell, and why I'm kind of moving forward.
So Charmaine took over my pregnancy classes and baby yoga classes, and it took me a long time to find someone that I felt confident that I could hand them over to, because I've been doing a lot of work for a long time. And, you know, we're now talking about the fact that these classes are virtual rather than physical, right? So, you know, we've gone from a physical class where women would come every week, they do their little talking time at the start, and then we do practices around those aches and pains and emotional things that would come up. And you go away feeling better, and also you'd be getting some kind of subconscious programming around what's going to help in labour. Now this is online, and it's very difficult for people to understand the benefit of doing an online pregnancy yoga class, especially if you're finding yourself sitting at home in front of a desk, on a desk, sorry, with a computer in front of you, not even on a desk, you know what I mean? And then to consider having another class, you know, without it being in physical. But what are the benefits? What are you seeing is so important at the moment, Charmaine, that people connect to, even at home and virtually?
I think from lockdown till now, I think the biggest thing has been just having a connection with other women going through the journey together was a big thing. People were isolated, people were no longer kind of going to work back and forth, a lot of people working from home. So, and for pregnant women, it was even earlier. So it was just having a connection of others in the first place, a face as someone to connect with. But I think the biggest thing is still having that element of empowerment, because they're not seeing their midwives as much. They're not seeing, you can't see that face-to-face kind of antenatal classes, even general through the hospital anymore. So they were really missing out on some of that information. Some people were just like, I haven't seen my midwife for so long, I'm feeling really lost. And it's just like, just not being sure. So even though I would always say if it's something very serious on a medical level, they were able to ask me questions that I was able to answer for them. And if it's something we were really worried about, they could always take that back to their midwife. But just having the comfort of somebody giving you a slightly different opinion or a different way of looking at it, or looking at options, whether it was an induction, whether it was baby's position, it really made them feel more empowered about, right, I'm going into this kind of environment now. I'm not sure if my partner is going to be with me at all times. And that was a big thing, because we are dealing with so much fear at the moment. And I think people are just coming to me quite scared anyway, as we often feel a bit anxious in pregnancy. But with this additional thing around the COVID now, it's made a massive impact on women. So it's really been about that support and information as knowledge, as well as the yoga physical practice. It coming together holistically made a massive difference for everybody.
Awesome. Well, look, please hold fear in your mind. I just want to go on something that basically, because I mean, I've really stepped back from the world of birth in the last few years, and I'm working more with adults who are clearing their cellular memory and trauma. But for you, seeing that the restrictions that have been brought about by COVID have meant that women really are not knowing what they're going to be doing for their birth. They're not able to have home births at the moment, are they? Is the birth?
Some are. It depends on the trust, yeah.
Home birth, birthing centres, what's happening there?
Yeah, birthing centres is happening, but I guess it just very much depends on the situation, high risk, and it depends on your trust. So I think most of the home births were back again from July. However, it depends on your trust, it depends where you are. So always find out from your local, speak to your local, your midwife and hospital to find out what's going on in your area.
And in terms of partners being able to attend, or a partner and a doula, it was restricted to one person, wasn't it, in most trusts?
Completely one person. And if you're going in for an induction, your partner can't stay with you during the induction. So I know some women have been lucky enough, they've just been sent home. They've been allowing women to go home with certain situations, as long as they're not on a hormone drip. But unless you are an established labour, they can't be in the room. So we know that takes some time before that happens. And even them not being there could slow the whole process down. So it's all a bit, it's really worrying, but all the other appointments, scans, no one else is allowed with you at the moment.
And that's a really lonely place for a woman to be, really, because one of the things we know that helps assure better birth outcomes is feeling really well supported during pregnancy, right? And during the birthing process. And if you take the example of induction, then basically you could be sitting there for days before actually things kick off. And to really be on your own with that is not very nice. And I think this leads me on to fear. Just before we go into that, I just want people to have a sense of the fact that there is talking time at the start of each class. And just as we are here and you can see us both, there's people join the class online. You'll see everybody in gallery view. So there is this sense of community. Once we press record, everybody mutes their mic so you can just see the person who's teaching, right? But ultimately, more than that is the fact that we don't physically need to be with you for us to be able to look at your body, to be able to see what would actually help to shift the position of the baby, how to create more space in the pelvis, to learn more about your pelvis shape and what's going to help your baby get into the pelvis and then out of it. But also it's the stress management, the breathing, the sound work, the bonding with baby, doing all of the work that we teach you as tools that you just have to learn from us. And you've got the recordings as well, so you can practice at home, because you want to make a daily habit of everything that we do. This is what really helps you to start to feel empowered when it feels like so many choices are being taken away. And let's just go into a little bit the impact of fear from your perspective, because you know, and I know, that it has a knock-on effect, not just on the baby, but also on the birth outcomes and bonding. So over to you.
It's a massive thing from your pregnancy. If we talk about how much your baby's taking in, everything you're taking in, everything in your environment, your baby takes in. So they can feel your energy, they can feel if you're stressed out, they can feel if you're in a good mood. So you've got to really be more mindful of how you are, what's around you, what you're absorbing. And we're currently absorbing a lot of rhetoric and energy around fear. what's going on around Corona, regardless of your view. There's lots of stuff going on. So you're going to be scared if you're taking in too much of this media. So the first thing I would say, be mindful of how much news you're watching. I actually told ladies to kind of reduce it completely. I don't watch much news at all. Stop it. If you need little tidbits, tell somebody to tell you something you might need to know. Other than that, you don't really need to have that information coming in you because you're absorbing it. The second thing I worry about is within the pregnancy, how you might be feeling. So the cocktails of emotions, you're feeling the stress, but then leading into the labor, we can delay a lot of things in our labor process by fear as well, because we're now dealing with oxytocin and endorphins, which are the hormones we want to see during labor, which is going to encourage us to progress beautifully in our labor. And then we have adrenaline that can't be in the same area of the uterus at the same time as oxytocin and endorphins. So we can have that fight or flight hormone, which was a good design because we had to escape from predators many years ago. We keep the baby in and that's what you'd want. But now that fear is now traveling to the hospital. And it's always been a thing with labor, but now it's worse because it's like, is my partner going to be able to stay with me when I get in there, when I'm in triage? What's going to go on? Are they going to send me home? Am I even safe in the hospital because of this virus? Then all the other things that, you might just be someone who doesn't like a clinical space. Whatever it is that could cause fear can slow the whole process down. And this can have a massive knock-on effect, because if the process is too slow and you've progressed to a point where you're in hospital already, they're going to want to see a clock time ticking, and that they might want things to speed up. So it might be suggested that you have an induction, or to hormones help things to get going. And this can have a knock-on effect. So this is what we talk about when we're talking about intervention leading to intervention. That could lead to a more challenging or traumatic birth because so much interference has taken place. So you trying to maintain a space of feeling safe, in whatever that is for you, through your breath work, through positioning of baby, seeing the things holistically, then you can feel really empowered to support yourself through any journey. You might not need to go to the hospital so quickly because you feel, oh, it's fine, I know what I'm doing. I heard about, how my contractions have to be nice and regular, and then I can leave. And some women in my classes are getting into hospital when they're 7 centimeters, or not long to go. So this is great. So we have less time in that hospital space, and no one's trying to encourage you to speed things along. You're going at your own pace. So it's about us really learning these things and how we can stay safe and feeling empowered to carry that into our labours and also our partners. And that's another situation.
But, just to recap on that, we have normal pregnancy fears that are massively exacerbated because of what's going on and all of the unknowns that are happening. And, what you're basically saying is, we know that when we enter into labour frightened, then we're likely to slow it down and to really need some kind of support, especially if we're in hospital from the start. So if you are doing the majority of the labouring at home because you feel safe, you trust your body, you know that it's all normal, and that you actually get as much of the labour going as possible, naturally, by the time you get to the hospital, you're most unlikely to need any kind of intervention. And if you do, there'll be far less than actually if you had gone in earlier, because the research says one tends to lead to another, and we also don't know the impact that the interventions can have on our babies. So one of the things we teach in the classes is how to move during your contractions, how to restore energy and calm yourself down between the contractions, what to do if you find out your baby's position is not optimal, and how you can actually shift things, everything from back to breech to all sorts of scenarios. Also, what can you do if you are bedbound for some reason, whether you need monitoring or some kind of drip? What can you actually do to stay active, because we know that really, really helps. And we're going to save the topic of prenatal stress and the impact of that on brain development in babies and their nervous system for another video, because that's my area of expertise. And I just want to say today that as we are facing this global fear, we've never quite been in this situation before. We had the First and the Second World Wars, obviously, and we've had threats of wars since then. But the example I've always led to in the past when I explain birth trauma and pregnancy trauma and how it then plays out in generations to come is because of the First and Second World War. And the response that we're currently going through is very much a fight-flight response to a danger that is perceived to be bigger than it actually is. And it's being promoted that way as well by the people that are the descendants, the masculine descendants of those who fought in the wars, or maybe lost loved ones in the wars. So that's another topic that we'll go into, and we're also going to make another video on how important the baby yoga is that we offer, because one of the beautiful things about being at home is you could actually be in labour and still attend your Zoom pregnancy class, right? Which is brilliant, because Sean will be right there with you and live lesson for everyone. But also you can literally show up in a class for mummy and baby nurture as soon as you've given birth. Now, if we could offer that continuity of care back in the day when we're doing the physical classes, my goodness, would you see a reduction in digestive issues, sleep issues, bonding issues, because it's that immediate support straight afterwards. We teach positive intervention methods. This is what I go in, and I would be training midwives and obstetricians in these methods, so that the ones that they learn at their medical training are the last resort ones, okay? Because there is so much you can actually do, that all of the panic buttons that we kind of tend to lead towards can be, for the most part, avoided, okay? So there are very few examples that are exceptions to this. In the meantime, if most of the trauma, and it is trauma because it leaves an emotional, psychological and physical impact both on you and the baby, if it can be avoided, why not avoid it? And if there is a safe space you can enter into online that will teach you how to do it, why not take part? And if you're concerned about, saving the pennies and, you've got to spend the money on the buggy and all the rest of it, there are skills that you learn in our classes that are yours for life that will prevent a lifetime of regrets. And this is the question that I would say to you is, isn't that worth it? Because for you to know how to deal with your baby's development whilst they're growing inside of you, whatever life is doing around you, and for you to then know how to enter into the birthing space with the most optimal mindset and physical preparation, and then to be able to deal with however the birth went and really heal that bond with you and your baby post-birth as quickly and elegantly and gracefully as possible. That's the invitation. Watch your baby grow and develop strength and amazing immune system as well, because of how the baby yoga actually helps, and the pregnancy yoga helps for all systems of the body to optimize and to function properly. So I'm going to leave that there. All I'm going to say is I really recommend that you do actually try our classes out. If you're new to us, we have got a half price discount code, which we're very happy to send you. You just have to respond to us, send a message in the video, like comments, or contact us through Enjoy Yoga or Rozy Glow on Facebook. And we will very, very gladly give that to you so you can try one of our classes out half price. Anything you would like to add, Charmaine?
Yeah, I just think it's important for us to, more so than ever, as we're especially going into cold and flu season, to kind of come together and just know that you're well supported. We are family here, so we want to give you all the information we can to support you and help you through. I did have a client who's about to go through an induction who literally came for a class. Can I come to your class on Sunday? And I was like, go ahead. And she actually worked out to have a really nice VBAC vaginal birth after a cesarean last time. She spoke to me throughout over WhatsApp. We were in contact with each other. And that's the kind of relationship I always have with my students. We're able to support them even when we're in class and outside class within reason, and still give that offer of support and care right through. So there's a lot of continuity of care here. So that's the last thing for me to say.
Yeah. And Charmaine, they love you. They absolutely love you. And the beautiful thing about Charmaine is she also teaches the baby yoga. So her voice is familiar. And this is what I saw time and again when I'd see the babies that had been born, they always knew my voice because they knew me from pregnancy yoga. Even if I hadn't seen them for like over a year, years could go by, they'd be like, I know that voice. So it's a deep imprint, isn't it? And there is nothing to lose. This is what we're saying is please allow yourself the opportunity to experience this and to remember that something is better than nothing, but actually there are many benefits to the virtual classes that you could say aren't there with the physical classes. So I would just say this is a win-win-win for all. Please check out the details in the text box below. Check out our videos on the prenatal cellular memory and trauma that gets passed on and how that affects our baby's development and how they grow as adults and their capacity to form healthy bonds and operate from a space that's heart-centered, etc. I'll explain it all there. And the baby yoga one will tell you a lot more as well about what we do in these early baby classes. They're available right through to crawling, aren't they? You can come along to our classes, baby classes right through to crawling. So even online, there's lots of opportunities. Thanks for watching. Please share, would benefit from this. Let's grow our tribe. Take care.